And I'm
And
James.
welcome to another episode of the Watch That John podcast. Thank you for coming back.
Thank you for coming back. We're really excited about this episode, guys. We're continuing The Last of Us season 2. Right now, we're in episode 2 called Through the Valley.
Through the Valley, yeah. So, this episode, we talked about I said how I wanted more infected, and they delivered.
Yes,
They
they did.
delivered.
A lot of infected and action in this movie, in this show, rather. It felt like a movie.
Yeah, yeah, honestly. So, we're going to do the same structure we did last episode. We're going to break down the main points, and then we're just going to talk about it.
Yeah, yay. Let's get it.
All right. The episode opens with Abby awakening from a nightmare about her father's murder. Abby and the remaining Fireflies are held up in an abandoned ski lodge at the top of a mountain right above Jackson Hole. They are extremely discouraged by how fortified the city and its defenses are. Determined and defiant, Abby decides to go into the snow-covered mountains to scope out the town in hopes of finding a way to get revenge on Joel. So, yeah, so this dream, um, so Abby's dream. Do you want to describe Abby's dream real quick?
Yeah, she is in a hospital with a gun and the alarms are blaring and she's walking towards the surgical room where she hears a voice saying, "Don't go in there." And she turns around and it's her. And Abby, or the other Abby, is essentially like, um, he's dead. His brains are on the floor. And the Abby with the gun, is like, "I don't know you."
Even though it's
And
her, she's literally
even
looking
though
at
it's
her.
her,
Yeah.
yes, "I don't know you. You're a liar." And she walks in there anyway.
And sure enough, she
And
saw her daddy's brains on the floor.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was kind of corny because it's like I don't know, like I understand it's supposed to represent present Abby and past Abby. And I guess if she would have known what she knew now, but it's like she wished she could have warned herself. But I think there was a better way to kind of show that she's still haunted by her father's death other than this dream. And like you said, she was like she when she said his brains are on the floor, she said you're lying. And I'm like, what reason does Abby have to lie?
I think it would have been more impactful and more direct if she just would have walked. The scene would have just cut to her finding everyone dead, and she has to react and cope with the trauma and the gore.
Gosh.
I think that would have worked a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly. Mom
So,
keeps texting me. I swear she finds the worst moment to just like text me or call me. But
hi, Mom, we love you.
but yeah, so another thing about this conversation, like I said, they're trying to Abby and the Fireflies are in a ski lodge and they're trying to get into Jackson Hole, but it's not until this very moment after traveling all the way from Seattle to Wyoming are they realizing that Jackson Hole is a fortress. There
It
are
is.
heavily armed mounted patrols, four main gates with no other entrances or exits, and guard towers flanking each exit, and they have dogs.
And they have dogs. And they had to build that fortress because, you know, they have a lot of people who live in the town. And, Joel is a contractor, and it showed
A former contractor.
a former
Now he's
contractor in
just a
his former
madman.
life. Now he's just a madman murderer. But yeah, so he basically used him all his resources with Tommy to build up the city, and it really shows.
Yeah, and it's just like Abby's plan is stupid. She was like, okay, we're gonna ambush a patrol, like a patrol of people from Jackson Hole, tie
Yep,
them up, and make them tell us where Joel is. And everyone's like, what if they don't talk? Are you gonna torture them? And I'm like, what if they lie? How can you verify that they're lying? It's just not a good plan. You could tell Abby's desperate, and that's why you don't make decisions based on excruciating grief and anger.
exactly. You don't make life decisions based on revenge.
Yeah.
Typically doesn't typically doesn't turn out well. And she was fueled by rage and revenge. Um, what do you? So I think it was interesting that the rest of Abby's troop, the other Fireflies, wasn't really about the mission. They were essentially like, "Hey, this is a suicide
It's
mission."
a suicide mission. And the other dude, I forget his name, but he was like, what's his name? Is his name? What's that man's name? Abby's friend. Who cares? But
I don't know. We'll find it.
he's like
Yeah, he's not that important.
he's like when Abby leaves to go take her shift outside in like the negative 23-degree weather or something like that.
Yeah,
Um Everyone's like, "Yo, what's the plan?" And he's like, "I'm gonna convince Abby to go home because going into Jackson Hole is certain death." And I'm like, "It is." And Abby, you know this. So, yeah, yeah,
yeah. No, I 100% agree. 100% agree that you know they didn't really have confidence in her plan. Her plan was pretty stupid to begin with.
yeah, yeah.
To begin with.
All right, you want to continue?
Meanwhile, back in Jackson Hole, Ellie is awakened by Jesse to go on patrol. The town is on high alert after hearing a report that dozens of infected were discovered hiding in the snow not too far away. They also were afraid of the new type of infected that attacked Ellie. If you remember, that infected showed a higher level of intelligence than previously thought possible. Tommy held a drill with the townsfolk, instructed them to be ready in case they were attacked. The children and old would seek shelter in the basement, while the rest of the group would take the higher ground. Ellie receives an apology from the bigot who insulted her the night before at the party. Then she and Jesse set off on patrol with Joel and Dina about an hour ahead of them.
So, do you remember? So, here's what's happened. They said they found 30 live infected hiding under the corpses of other infected in the snow. Do you remember
I
from
know,
Mulan?
I know
He
exactly.
was
I knew he
talking
was
about
going
the
there.
hunt. Mushu was like, they popped up out of the snow like
Like
daisies.
daisies.
Like daisies. I'm glad we're here.
Yes.
It's like daisies.
Yes.
Yeah. How
As soon
terrifying
as I
is
saw
that?
that, no, as soon as I saw that, I thought about that Mulan reference, and it's absolutely
Like daisies.
terrifying.
Yeah, because it's like they're getting smarter. So this
Yes.
a lot of I honestly I don't think anything in this episode besides the last like maybe 10 minutes happened in the show.
Oh, it happened in the game.
Happened in the game. Yeah. The infected hiding underneath corpses in the snow. I don't think that happened in either games. I could be wrong, but I'm like 85% sure that didn't happen. So this was new to me. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
they're getting smarter. You know, they said they're using their bodies as insulation, like, ugh. And just popping up, like, and just making an avalanche of affected. But,
Wow. No, it's terrifying
mm-hmm,
how they are evolving so quickly
mm-hmm.
too, right? Because I'm not sure how long this world exists. Ellie's whole life. So I don't know, like let's say 25,
I think,
30 years
yeah,
maybe.
because I think the breakout happened in like 2013 in the game, I think.
Okay.
But, yeah. One thing I wanted to ask you, which is interesting. So, like you said, Ellie is in the town hall room or like the mess hall, and Maria, Tommy's wife, makes her go talk to the man who called her a derogatory term during the New Year's Eve party. And one thing that I thought about in this like post-apocalyptic world, has people's ideas about sexuality, race, gender, have they regressed? You know what I mean? Like, if there's no, like, structures in place to kind of keep us from being ignorant and bigoted, will we regress to a time where that was more common?
Man, we're regressing now.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Like we are regressing right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think human nature is bigotry.
It's just a suck.
It's yeah, we suck.
I
And
think
I
it's just
think,
like an us versus them sort of thing. To put it on a very base, I'm not trying to make it seem like it's not as evil as it is, and like, but I think it's just an us versus them. Anything that's
always.
different from you, it's like,
Hmm.
what is that? You know.
Exactly. Always.
But Ellie said
Yep.
something funny when he apologized. She was like, "Yeah, people get drunk and say awful they never thought before." And it's like drinking has never made me racist or like a
Yeah,
homophobe or like
that is true.
or a
Typically,
sexist.
typically when I drink, I get friendlier and tell people I love them.
You do. Yeah, you sure do.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. You never told me this when you were sober. So.
I never will either.
But yeah, and like yeah,
The
what
also
we'll continue.
another point that I wanted to mention was when Jesse first and went and grabbed uh Ellie, when Jesse grabbed Ellie and he was basically messing with her, saying like, "Oh, how could you kiss Dina? We just broke up like a week ago."
A week
Just just
ago.
just like messing with her and getting her pissed off because she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, she kissed me." He's like, "I really don't care. Just
Yeah,
get
I knew he
dressed."
was pulling her leg, but that song just
Yeah.
reminds me of that song is Jesse's Girl.
Oh yeah.
I wish that I had Jesse's girl. But I never think
Da-da-da-da-da.
do you think Ellie's so hostile to Jesse because she is jealous of
I
where he
think
stands
Ellie's
with
just
Dina?
hostile. I think Ellie's just hostile
Jelly.
to everybody.
Jelly Ellie.
Jelly
Jealous.
Ellie.
Yeah, Jelly Ellie.
Yeah, she's hostile to everybody. She
It
just
seems like exceptionally hostile to Jesse though. I get she was tired of him like asking about Joel and everyone asking about Joel, but she
yeah,
seems to
yeah.
like generally not
Dislike him.
not dislike, just like I feel like something about him gets under her skin, and I think it's because he gets in Dina's pants and she doesn't.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
But it was she was questioning about Joel, and I like what she said. And she was like, Joel is Joel, and I'm me, and that's never going to change. So you guys can stop worrying about us. And I feel like their relationship might have rough patches, but she was saying that it doesn't matter because at the core, we love each other and we're there for each other and we'll get through it. So mind your business. My stuff is complicated. We'll be okay.
I don't know what you said because I took my earphones off to like aggressively scratch my ear, but I agree. Yeah. Okay. Abby notices two people on horseback walking through the snow. She decides to follow them and slides down the mountain to get a closer look. The weather is getting bad now. Tommy calls the patrols groups back to the settlement, but because of the terrible weather, Ellie and Jesse decide to hold up in an abandoned 7-Eleven. Abby accidentally falls down the side of a mountain and lands right on top of a graveyard of infected. To her horror, there are thousands of live infected under the snow, and she runs for her life, making close encounters along the way. One infected manages to take her to the ground and is about to bite her before Joel saves her in a nick of time. They meet up with Dina, and Abby suggests that they go to the lodge where the other fireflies are waiting. Yeah.
So this whole scene when Abby falls onto the sleeping infected and they crawl out of the snow is pure horror. It's just I could not imagine being her, right? Remember we talked about there's a show that or the Facebook shirt rather that I saw that was like, hey, if you're in an action movie, what part of the action movie do you realize that, hey, I can't do that stunt, right? And a lot of people think, oh, I can't dodge a bullet, or like, oh, I can't, fight five guys in a room. But a lot of times it's
I
like,
can't climb a fence.
I can't
I
climb a
can't scale a fence.
fence. I
I
can't
don't have
scale a
the
fence.
stamina to run for a mile
No, no, exactly.
continuously.
Like if I would have slid down a mountain on top of pile, my leg would have been broke. I'll just been there, and the infected would have been there. I'm like, all y'all don't gotta get up. You just need one of y'all.
I can't run
Like
for
it's a
my
wrap.
life in the snow.
In the snow, and like you said, scaling the wall.
The
I can't
fence.
crawl.
Oh yeah,
I can't
yeah.
army
I
crawl
can't. I
under a
couldn't
fence.
jump to that ladder that she got to.
No, no,
Like,
could not jump to the ladder. Could not crawl to the
you're
fence.
right. You think it's these epic things that you can't do, but it's really simple things,
It's the
and
simple
that shows
things. It's the
how
simple
unfit
things.
we are as Americans. But did this scene not remind you of another very popular HBO show? Insanely popular HBO
Yes,
show.
yes, and I know exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about dun 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 dun
Hmm.
dun 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 dun
Guys, check out our full
dun
review of Game of Thrones. No, House of Dragon season 2. But all right, James. Yes, it reminds me of that iconic scene. Literally, it was cinematically masterful. Remember, it was like the 8th season or the 7th season, and Jon Snow was battling the Night King at the
Yep.
wall, and he thought he won. Then the Night King came and raised his arm and resurrected all the dead White Walkers, and it was hell on earth. That's what it reminds me of. Just the sheer hopelessness of seeing a
Yes.
horde of monsters coming towards you, and
In the snow.
it's already cold. You're already freezing. You know, you already have
There's nowhere to
frostbite, like
hide.
Dina. There's nothing to do. There's nothing you can do. It's a hopeless
Yeah.
situation. I really thought, I was like, you know what? I would just die.
That's the thing,
I
right?
think it's
thought
so
the same
hopeless.
thing.
I don't think my fight or flight response would, you know what?
No.
That's wrong. It's such a hopeless situation. I would just give up.
So I thought about that too, right? When it was like thousands of them chasing her.
Was it thousands? I
Until
think it
our-
was hundreds. I don't know, thousands.
It was a lot of niggas.
I think it was hundreds.
I realized like, yo, just die. But then I realized this isn't just like drowning. This is getting
It's
ripped.
terrible. Drowning is a terrible way
apart.
to die too.
It
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
It is. It is.
But
I
no,
don't wanna-
I feel you. Like,
yes.
this isn't like you're not going to pass away quietly in your sleep. You're going to get ripped to shreds, and you're going to be alive for it. And so you bleed out and you become unconscious, and maybe you won't feel the pain.
And then maybe you turn to a zombie. And now you're one of them. So I would have ran. Yeah, you run until you can't run no more.
You know,
But
you become an infected, and we can see that the infected, like, okay, that's that incredible scene where Abby is there's like this chain link fence, literally a fence
She's
that's
army
not
crawling.
that's not sturdy enough to keep a large dog out, and you have all these infected just throwing their bodies against the fence, and you can tell there's that they're not conscious. This is a cordyceps controlling them, like marionettes, like how the way they just throw themselves on the fence.
like
You know
what
what?
in that?
Marionettes, like puppets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, did I say that right? Marionette.
Mm.
It's just, you know, they're mindless. That, like, you know what I mean? And like,
Yeah.
oh my god, that scene where like Abby is between a fence and a wall, and the fence is almost touching the wall. That's how caved in she is. She has to army crawl through there, and one infected is so determined to get her. His finger is being sliced by one of the chain, you know,
Yes.
the
And then
linking of the
the other
fence.
infected was army crawling behind her.
Yes, she got through.
Pure terror.
Sure, you got through, and you
Pure
saw how the
terror.
way they threw themselves. They're not thinking. They use their cells, their bodies as battering rams because they are not in control. This is not conscious. Like, this is
Yeah.
a fungi controlling you. Like,
Yes.
but that scene was
And
great
then-
though.
It was amazing. But who came to our rescue? Joel.
Mm-hmm.
And rescued her. And
So, do you think Joel is a bad man who does good things, or you think he's a good man who does bad things?
I think this show kind of basically said it's not really a black and white,
Yeah,
right? I don't
Yeah.
think there's any real good people or bad people. I think we could just be judged by our actions, you know. In the show, I think in real life there's good people and bad people, but in the show,
in real
I
life,
feel
you
like-
believe there's good people and bad people. Because isn't
Yeah.
art just an imitation of life, James?
yeah, this is a really philosophical. Basically, if you are a good person in a tough situation, you might make bad choices, but you're ultimately a good person. But if you make too many bad choices, are you still considered a good person, or you have the potential to be a good person?
Yeah.
And is your potential to be a good person make you a good person, even though if you do nothing good? And if your potential to be a bad person, but you do good things, does that still make you a bad person?
The road to hell is paved with good intentions, as they
Yes.
say.
So I think it's just all about your actions, what you actually do, right? So I think Joel is like a survivor, but he's also a murderer.
Because it's not, I don't know if you remember, but he used to be a raider.
Yeah, he did.
He used to
He
be a
did.
raider, so he's used to that level of brutality and savagery against other human beings to survive.
What's a raider?
A raider, they're the people, oh my goodness, in the game, there'll be these people. I remember one time, me and Ellie were driving in the game. Someone came and was like, help me, to get our distraction, while another car like barricaded us and start
I
shooting at
remember that
us.
too. I remember that too.
They're raiders. They're ruthless people who will survive by any means necessary. They are not worried about the greater good. They're worried about themselves. And
Yeah.
because I would like to think I have the mentality of I'm always gonna try not to kill a human in a world like this. But it's like they don't see it that way. It's every man for themselves. It's a free for all. But one thing I wanted to ask you, when Jesse and Ellie found a stash at 7-Eleven of marijuana, I know you don't smoke, but during an apocalypse, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to do every drug there is. I don't care. I'm doing crack. No, why? Why would I need to worry about my body? I'm doing everything. Like every drug I can find. I will be an
Yeah.
alcoholic. Listen, I will be
Yeah.
out of my mind because why not?
Why not?
Why not?
What else? What else is there besides just like every day? Every day could be your last. So yes, I'm putting that gas mask on.
Yo, I'm getting fried every day. But another thing that was just like, I don't know, just seeing like when Abby meets up with Joel and Dina in that warehouse and it affected our outside. Dina's like, if we stay here, we'll die. If we leave, we'll die. What do we do? And Joel's like, I'm thinking, I don't know. I'm like, it's always so scary when your person, the reasonable person, the person you trust to make decisions says, I don't know. It's like, oh my God. I'm the most indecisive person in the world. I don't even know how to choose between two dinner options. Do not trust me in distressing situations. You will be killed.
No, you're right. And like Joe is obviously the main character of the show. So like
And
and
he's a
he's been
smart
the
guy. He's resourceful. You
yes.
know what I mean?
And he's been the
He's
leader of one of the
older, so
leaders
of
of the
course Dina's
town.
looking up to him.
He's older and he's like, I don't know. And it's terrifying because like Dina said, we're too far to go back to the town. There's too many of them to outrun them indefinitely.
Like, what if the horse just
Because
gave up? You're trusting something like a car. A car does what I want it to do all the time. A horse can just be like, nah, I
exactly.
don't want to run no more.
And these infected don't get tired.
No.
How far can a horse run before a horse gets tired? Right? Probably like a good 15 miles, right? Probably a little longer. Probably like 10, 15 miles,
Let's
especially
not
in the
pretend
snow.
like we know anything about horses.
I don't know anything about horses. But like if my horse can take me like 10, 15 miles without having a break, that's a really stinking good horse.
That's another thing. Like he said, we don't know how to ride a horse.
No, exactly. Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, that's the one thing I would fail. I don't know how to ride a
We don't
horse.
know how to light a fire. We don't know. Like, I feel
No,
like we need to learn more safety procedures. Like, how do we do reconnaissance missions? You know
I
what
don't
I
know how to
mean?
pick a lock.
Yeah, we don't know how to. I don't know how to hotwire a car.
No,
Like, I don't know how to not accurately, correctly, like secure a building. When they say shelter in place, you have to make sure that the building is secure. I don't know the procedures. You know how to
Mary,
effectively lock doors and windows and barricade things.
Mary, point north.
Exactly. Where the fuck is North? Where the
Point
hell is
to it.
North? We will be toast.
And
Oh
just
my!
point north.
I'm
Like
pointing
it's
up. Where the hell is North?
where is
We
north?
don't see
And
the
like I feel
stars
like
at night because of the pollution. I don't know where. I don't know North. The hell?
it would be so bad. We're just so inept
All right.
about
Listen.
surviving.
Listen. in the distant future, we are going to put together a camping trip, and we're going to read some damn manuals and YouTube, and we're going to learn how to do something useful.
Yeah, something.
I don't even know.
Something.
When people say, "Oh, my hairstylist today," she said, "How'd you get here?" I said, I did what GPS told me how to do. I don't know. I don't know what route. I don't know. I did what GPS told me to do.
Yeah. Man, we should do find a survival guide and just watch it.
Victoria used to doomsday prep. I'm gonna see if she still does.
Sure she does.
All right.
Jesse and Ellie go and search for Joel and Dina, but splits up to cover more ground. The horde of infecting chasing Joel, Dina, and Abby suddenly changes direction and heads to Jackson Hole. The townspeople there raise the alarm and prepare for the pending attack. They put up every defense in their arsenal, dropping barrels of gasoline and setting them ablaze. But the infected are able to find a weak spot in the fence and breach it. Joel and Dina debate on heading to Jackson Hole to help, but Abby convinces them to meet up with the other Fireflies so they can help fight back at Jackson Hole. Meanwhile, Tommy bravely helps the townspeople defeat the infected, personally killing a bloater with a flamethrower. So this is like...
They're at the wall. They are at the wall.
Yes, and I thought the same thing. They're at the wall. Never Game of Thrones reference, right?
They ain't slick. They probably using the same location.
The same CGI.
Yeah. They're like, we have these models already, guys. We have these animations. Let's just load them up. Let's just load them up.
Or just like put digital clothes on them. Like put some street clothes in them. And the White Walkers can turn to infected real quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And just take the dragons away. So the townspeople, Jackson Hole, they were as prepared as you possibly can be, and they almost was completely destroyed.
When them niggas decided to breach, I said, "Oh my God!"
Yes.
Why y'all thinking like that? The hive mind. When you see them all running in one direction, I'm like, "This is bad. They're not retreating. This is bad. This is bad." Because a lot of times in movies like that, when monsters start to retreat, that means they're clearing the way for something more horrendous to come through and
you're right.
Up. Like
you're right. And even when they breached and they ran to the main street, they start like kamikaze diving into the glass windows into the house. Like they knew that's where people were at. Like they jumped into the glasses.
Oh, you mean when they got past the fortress? When they got inside? Okay.
Yeah, when they got inside.
Behind the wall.
And they immediately went up to the roofs and attacked the shooters from the roofs. From the roof. Is roofs? Either way. And they went and tried to attack the children and the elderly in the basement. It was so stressful. It was done so well that you can watch the whole chaos, but still see it unfold under Tommy's perspective.
Even though I did think it was kind of corny how the bloater died. Like the bloater died, like his flamethrower was running out of pressure or whatever. And like before, like right in the nick of time before the bloater is about to do his fatal blow, he dies. Like as soon as Tommy's flamethrower runs out of whatever fuels it, the bloater dies. I'm like, okay, that was kind of corny, like the timing.
Yeah, but I was still terrified. I was still terrified. Yeah. Because have you ever got caught by a bloater in a video game?
Yeah.
And what did they do to you?
And my thing, they rip you up. They put their fingers in the roof of your mouth and in their jaw, and they rip you apart like that.
Like, why? That's not even eating me anymore. That's just hatred. Like
that is just hatred. That bloater did seem angry because when Maria, I understand the cordyceps, it's hostile. It's extremely aggressive. But that bloater had a vendetta when Maria was shooting him from the roof because he looked over and he's like, I'm gonna get you. And I'm like, this isn't just like a creature being an aggressive creature. You wanted to get that lady.
She did.
You wanted to get that lady.
Yo, Maria is a G, by the way. She's a G. And here's a few reasons why. One, when one, she decided to shoot the largest of the infected, the bloater, from the rooftop.
How was that smart?
Listen. She's trying to take out the strongest one. So she's trying to take out the strongest one. When the infected came and basically came onto the roof of her, I noticed that she basically was dipping and dodging.
I
And she's like,
noticed that she abandoned the man who cleared the way from her to get off the
yes,
roof.
yes. She was like, "You're done."
But my thing
You're gone.
is, she shot and never affected. He was coming toward her. I get it, but I don't know.
They're gone.
I don't know.
They're done. Right?
There was one coming, but she saved another person. It's like, okay. There was other people who could. I guess she just abandoned him. I was like, wow. He cleared the way
because
for you.
the thing is not like these things. It's not like, oh, you get attacked. If I kill something before it kills you, you can survive. This thing is, if he scratches you, spits in or bites you, you're infected. It's over.
Oh,
So you might
you're
as
right.
well.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. Because I'm wondering. I'm like, first of all, I'm wondering. Well, continue your Maria rant.
So and then after that, when she gets down back to the street level and she sees Tommy is being chased by the bloater, she doesn't follow Tommy. Instead, she goes and unleashes the dogs.
Yes, man's best friend. Them dogs literally changed the tide.
And I feel as though
changed the tide of the whole thing.
The reason why I think she was a G in that situation is because she focused on the main thing. And the main thing was killing as many as possible. She knew people would die. She knew Tommy was in danger. But she's like, the way I can help the most is to survive and get these dogs out.
Let's clap it up for Maria.
Yes.
She let the dogs out. Who let the dogs out?
Who let the dogs
Maria
out?
did. Because the dogs, I don't know if you heard me, but the dogs literally did change the tide of that battle.
They did.
They came through and I'm like, that's a man's best friend. I was like, good dog. Good job.
Yes. And they were vicious too.
Yes, they were.
It made me question though, did the dogs get infected? Like if the dogs bite infected,
I have seen, I don't recall seeing any infected doggos.
Okay.
That might be a Resident Evil thing. But that's one thing.
That was terrifying.
That might be a Resident Evil thing.
The Resident Evil dog zombies?
I could be making that up. I don't remember them.
No, I remember that.
They're Resident Evil dogs. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
Yeah, I was wondering too. I'm like, okay, I wonder how much friendly fire casualties happened because they are literally shooting everywhere, bullets flying everywhere. I'm like, I know there had to be some friendly fire. And like you said, how do you account for all the infected? I feel like there's going to be weeks of infected popping up in the settlement and you having to annihilate them because I don't believe everyone is telling you they got bit. Who got bit?
Oh yeah.
After the aftermath, how many affected are in your city? How are you going to fix the gaping hole in your structure?
I think that's a little easier to fix the hole.
Okay.
Then like you said, basically quarantine people who was in the fight until they turn, and then you got to handle them too.
How do you find? You know what I mean?
I would basically keep the women and children downstairs for a few more days.
But what if one of them is affected and they eat everybody?
That's what I'm saying. You keep them downstairs.
Eat the non-infected people?
What are you talking about?
Well,
keep the women and children down. You don't. Let them
but
up.
What if there's women and children who are infected?
They didn't get attacked. They were safe.
They were safe, all of them.
Well, the doors didn't breach.
Okay, because I was thinking, I was like, there's doors, and I'm like, these niggas can breach doors unless it's like a vault door we're talking about. They can get through a basement door. I know it's the only plan they had, but I'm like, they can get through a basement door unless it's like a vault. So I'm like a huge slab metal door. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. Unless it was a vault, they should have been able to. They broke down a freaking fortress.
Exactly.
So they should have been able to break down a door.
Exactly. All right.
When Joe and Dina arrive at the lodge, Abby reveals she is a part of the Fireflies and she captures them. They put Dina in an induced sleep as Abby tortures Joel. She tells him that her father was the doctor that he killed, along with 18 soldiers, when he rescued Ellie last season. Ellie finds the lodge and she tries to rescue Joel, but to no avail. By the time she gets there, he is bruised beyond repair and is barely alive. Ellie is taken down by the fireflies and watches in horror as Abby strikes the final blow, stabbing Joel in the neck with a broken golf club. Ellie crawls to him as Joel dies, and the fireflies leave, returning home, but not before breaking Ellie's ribs with a swift kick to the midsection. Jesse finally arrives and takes Ellie, a barely conscious Nina, and Joel's body back to camp.
How do you know she broke her ribs?
Yo, he kicked the living daylights out of her, and she was like,
Yeah, he was really
like,
mad that she came through and like swung. Did she stab him? I think she nicked him.
Yeah, she sliced his face.
Yeah, she nicked him.
She slapped his. So one, Ellie had a shot when she first came in. When she first came into the room,
she had a shot at what? At saving
she had
Joel?
a clear shot. She had a clear she had a clear shot to shoot Abby.
Did she?
Right.
Okay.
Yes, she like stepped forward and tried to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
But it took, and I understand, it takes a second to process when you get into the room.
What's going on? Yeah.
Yes. What's going on? Who's on the ground? Who's standing over?
Mm-hmm.
And she like screamed and then ran and then got attacked. But like, technically she had, and she could probably beat herself over for it later, I can tell. But she had a shot.
Well, like you said, your brain literally needs time to process the information. So
it does.
But yeah,
it
that
does.
Goodness. And that, remember last scene, I was like, people, there was a lot of anger when it came to the second game because Joel died, was killed this way. I think for me, I was just upset that he was killed so early in the game.
Yeah.
Like if it was something, and I guess it's kind of corny. Someone told me he was going to die, but I thought he was going to die towards the end of the game.
Yeah.
We don't play, I think we play as Joel in like a flashback later on, but we got so close to Joel during the first game, and like Ellie's great. We play with Ellie. We play with Abby. It's great, but it's like I did feel the whole game wishing that I was playing with Joel again too.
Yeah. No, and that's very hard to do for Joel or Pedro Pascal. He's literally the freaking face of the show. Like on all the ads, on all the promotions.
And it's a good face.
He dies in the second episode.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think we're still going to see him because, like I said, there is some flashbacks, but it's bold. It's bold.
Yeah, it is.
Like even when you watch a show, you kind of know who are the characters who aren't going to get killed out, and most of the time it's not the two major characters, and it's definitely not the face of the show.
And the thing is, like it happened, like you said, going back to HBO, the Game of Thrones references when. Like Ed Stark, for example. Mm-hmm. We thought Ed Stark was the main character in the first season. Ned Stark. We thought Ned Stark was the main character in that first season. Mm-hmm. And then they killed him. And I was like, holy crap. They can kill anybody on this show.
Spectators, yeah. Eddie, they don't got no picks.
Yeah. They can kill anybody.
The only one who's untouchable is Tyrion.
Yeah, exactly.
Tyrion was untouchable.
Yes, but like
they even killed Jon Snow. Yeah, they brought him back, but they killed Jon Snow. They killed Jon Snow.
Yeah,
but
It just.
Did your heart break when Abby shot Joel in the damn knees and he literally flew back? Like,
that was crazy.
Oh my goodness!
It just to tourniquet him, just to tourniquet him, and just to beat him senseless with the golf club. And you know what I realized?
Even everybody, when she shot him in the knees, even the other fireflies were like, yo, what the hell is this? Even they were like, oof, let me turn away. Yeah, but what were you saying?
I was saying that Joel didn't fight back.
He did not.
Joel,
he did have guns to him. He did have guns to him. It doesn't matter.
Like the Joel, think about it. The Joel that would have fought back and killed Abby, even if he would have got killed too.
Even if it would have got gunned down.
Yes. So do you think he didn't fight back
because of penance?
He was trying
To atone.
repentance,
Yeah.
or you think he didn't fight back because he was worried about Dina?
I feel like it was Dina. You know, not in a weird way, but Joel has an affinity for younger girls. You know,
Yeah,
not in a weird way.
like a protective.
And it makes sense. He lost his baby girl.
Yeah,
Um, Definitely for Dina. And I was thinking that too because, you know, at one point when Abby's, you know, giving her motive for everything and telling him about how she killed her father, he said, "Oh, SCFU and do it already." And then she said, "You
yep,
stupid old man, you don't get to rush this." But before Joel interrupted Abby to tell her to get it over with, she was like, "You know, it's funny, all this time." And I was wondering, I could be completely wrong. I wonder if Abby was going to say all this time I wanted to, like, seek revenge on you and do this, but now I'm not so sure. And maybe Joel was just like, he sensed that and he was like, he purposely agitated her to get her to act and to seek her revenge. Could be a huge stretch. It could be because like she said, whatever, let's get it over. If he didn't want to suffer, he didn't want to be tortured. But when you say, you know, atonement and like penance for what he did, I'm like, I'm glad I'm not the only one who kind of felt that way. Because like I said, he didn't fight back.
yeah,
And I get a gun was to his head and it was for Dina, but you're right. It's like, I feel like Joel could have been a bit more ruthless.
yes. And the thing is that there's been many a times where he had a gun to his head and it was just him and Ellie, and he didn't give up. You know that like he had to do like basically he found a way out. And I don't know if he just found for the writing on the wall, but even when she said you killed 18 other people, including my father, he didn't say anything. He didn't apologize because he's a
No,
freaking G, but he didn't say anything at all. He just looked there and was like, "Yeah,
I
he
did.
probably didn't go through and count how many people he killed."
Yeah, and it's like what was yeah I think he didn't want Dina to have to pay for his sins.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, and even yeah, one last even like oh my goodness, when Ellie finally came through and
hmm
she's devastated. She's like, "Joel, get up, get up."
get
He
up.
actually tries to get up, all
He
because
did.
Ellie told him to. I feel like he gave up already, but because Ellie said, "Joel, get up," he lifted his head like a centimeter off the ground, and that broke my heart. I'm like, "Oh my
Yeah,
god, he's still fighting for Ellie." Ellie told him to get up. This man is beating within an inch of his life, and he lifts his head. He's still trying for Ellie. I'm like, ugh.
so Abby, how did she inflict that much damage on that man? How skinny and frail she is.
That's video game Abby standards.
Yes, because like her beating him with the golf club, but then the next one of the other scenes with her just like welling on him and like punching him in the
I have no
face.
doubt that Abby, the Abby in a show is strong, but Abby in a video game, it makes sense when you see that body. It makes sense.
Yes,
It makes.
but
She could have beat him that
Like
bad with her bare hands.
this
No
Abby seemed
golf
like
clubs.
115 pounds,
Soaking wet. Yeah.
soaking wet,
Say no,
and
she's
like
not
yeah,
that small. She's not that small, but
she's probably like 130 soaking wet, like not that big at all, you
I
know.
mean, she has a golf club. Like it.
But no, she punched him. It was like punching him in the face.
Well, I think she's strong. I do think she's strong. I do think she's strong. And when you're fueled by hatred and grief, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah,
And Ellie just when she took the fatal blow with that broken
Abby. Yeah,
Abby took that fatal blow with that broken golf club that looked like a spear and just put it right between Joel's like shoulder blades or something. Not even shoulder blades, like right in the back of his neck.
back of his neck.
And how the way Ellie screamed, it's that kind of like mournful scream that you hope you never have to experience. Where it
Yeah,
just, you know, where like something happens to someone you care about and it's just like, oh my god, and just like it seems like, you know, how everything went silent because
yeah,
that's the only thing that matters. Just like, man, I never want to experience that type of pain.
yeah.
And that's what she experienced. Even the fact that she saw Dina was lying on the floor. She didn't go to Dina.
She didn't.
She didn't go to Dina at all. She probably saw Dina was breathing, but she did not go to Dina. She just went to Joel and just laid on top of him, like in The Lion King when Simba died, when Mufasa died, and Simba just came and just said, "Dad, get up," and just laid next to
Yep.
him. The movie that
Terrifying.
traumatized a generation. Yeah,
It really did. The Lion King.
yeah.
But yeah. So, what would you rank this episode, Mary?
I would give this episode a large bag of popcorn, even though it is reminiscent of Game of Thrones. I still was terrified. I still was
Yeah.
thoroughly invested, and even though it hurts what happened to Joel, I knew it was going to happen, and they did a really good job. They did a pretty good job. So, and just the image of Joel getting shot in the knees and just seeing his legs give out from under him, it just kind of stuck in my head. So yeah, I give it a large bag of popcorn. I know
I give
Pedro.
this-
I know Pedro Pascal. I know he's alive and well, hopefully, but that was hard to watch.
I give this also a very large bag of popcorn.
Very large. Okay.
Yes,
All
but
right.
it was fantastic.
Okay.
I watched that, John. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was on the edge of my seat. It was, like I said, it reminded me of a Game of Thrones, but that's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. Game of Thrones is a great
yeah.
show. And my
Game of
thing
Thrones
is,
a freaking
it didn't
great
take
show.
away from how into it I was. Yeah, I've
Yes.
seen this before in a different version. Still love it.
Yes,
So.
freaking incredible, incredible, and I'm so excited to watch Sunday's episode.
Yeah.
and review it with you guys next week.
This episode is late, guys. We tried to record yesterday, but we had abysmal connectivity issues. It was really
Yes.
bad. So it's going to come out late, but hopefully next week it'll be a little better.
Yes, yes, yes. So, thanks guys for watching and listening to another episode of the Watch That John podcast. You can follow us on YouTube at the Watch That John podcast, on Instagram at Watch That John, and you can listen to us wherever you find your podcast on streaming platforms. So, until next time.
Bye.